Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse. I'm actually here at the local DollarTree. It's been this way for 2 weeks. Like with no change. Look at the food. Thankfully, we've got lots of toilet paper just in case. But the housewares was what kind of struck me. Housewares and glassware. I want to see what else is out. But it's been this way at this particular one for 2 weeks, and I know that there have been outages and shortages at other places too, for various different reasons. We talked about this, about the impact of free money and of shutting everything down at the same time. You get a nasty confluence of things, which leads to a lot of economic issues, including but not limited to inflation and stagflation, which is where things cost more, but nothing is really being produced in order to keep up with consumer demand. So interesting things. Let's see what else is going on here. More issues with shortages and cheap clothes, basically. Just not a lot. Socks, things like that. Some shortages with baby items and stuff associated with, again, cheap freight being moved back and forth over the seas. More shortages in general housewares, I guess you would call it. Good to know that they got the stick-ups, that's good. But the cleaning supplies are normally like the really good deals, and they're not here. So, like I said, it's been this way for 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks and no improvement in this. And it's not just this one, it's several that I'm seeing. Shortages, I guess, associated with lack of freight moving back and forth, because a lot of the stuff comes from China, and if it's not getting moved over the seas because of shortage of shipping containers, because of logistics coordination, it's going to show up on this side of things. This is particularly astounding to me, the candles. Yep. And then the frames, there's like no frames to speak of. This is unreal to me. Like, even throughout the whole pandemic, I haven't seen it this bad. Again, I say this is not like a short blip on the radar, and it's not just isolated to here. So basically, the long and short of our little trip is that supply line issues are having real and concrete manifestations here in America, at least in the part of the country where I'm at. And the thing is, friends, right, prices are going up in various different things. I think the projected inflation for this year is going to be somewhere around 5.46%, last figures I saw, and then like perhaps another 4% in 2022, which, when you consider the overall average, that really kind of lines up, because if you pace at 2%, we haven't been at 2% for several years going. So the average overall kind of comes together, but when you're on the higher end of the average, it kind of stings. And so I anticipate that this is not going to get any better, probably leading into the winter. And there are many issues behind this. Obviously, there are issues with supply line, and this is actually affecting the seafood industry, and in particular crab. I don't eat crab, but some people do. And I was speaking to a man at the seafood counter the other day, and he verified this, that basically all this blue crab is just sitting in these ships that basically can't get unloaded on docks for various different reasons. And so, that's just one part of it. But when you look at what's happening overall, the mainstream media is not talking about this. They're talking about a record number of Americans quit their jobs this past year. But they fail to say that many people who are quitting their jobs are not doing so because they just want to retire. They're doing so because they're being confronted with mandates and various different things that are affecting their health, that are definitely in conflict with their religious beliefs, and people are walking for various different reasons. And so when you've got shortages, logistics issues, supply line issues, and a federal government whose current administration's puppets are making all of the wrong moves, you would think at a point where you have an increase in demand but an inability to meet supply, that regulation should be rolled back, and that mandates and things that would make barriers to entry more difficult for people to re-enter the workforce or stay in the workforce would be taken off the table. No, they are doubling down on this. They're making all the wrong mistakes. All of the wrong mistakes. They want more debt. So Janet Yellen and all her cronies at the Federal Reserve, they want more debt subsidized by the taxpayers. The taxpayers are already looking at an increase under the Biden administration with the things that they want to do. They're looking at an increase in the amount of control and a decrease in relative amount of freedom, an increase in the amount of circulating money supply, which overall decreases their purchasing power at a time when people are trying to get things started again. This is like a ginormous tangle. It looks like, for those of you ladies out there, if you've ever had a necklace that got like all kind of caught up and you're like, oh gosh, like how do I even begin to start with this? That's what this reminds me of. So those are my observations from dealing with the DollarTree today and how this is walking out the failed policies of the Biden administration and abysmal economic policy that has been pushed by the Federal Reserve. Just more reason, in my opinion, A, why the Federal Reserve needs to be abolished. If we can't abolish it, then at least audit the freaking thing. And bring it in some way, shape, or form back under the control of people, because we were supposed to have control over coinage anyway via Congress. But since 1913, I believe it was, we haven't had that, and we have been involved in incessant wars and empire and debt since that point. So we're kind of getting to an unraveling, I would say, and I don't obviously look forward to it. I do believe that the people of God are going to be given wisdom in times like this, and I think that we should continue in prayer and in fasting. But these are consequences, right? So, like, God is not obliged to remove consequences from a nation that rejects him. We may seek mercy for it. We may seek mercy for this nation, for the sake of the righteous, like Abraham did, and plead with God for the sake of the righteous within it. But we shouldn't be surprised at consequences. Hope it was helpful for y'all today. If you did enjoy the video, I hope you'll subscribe to me here on YouTube, Patriot Nurse. You can also support me on Patreon, subscribe to our cryptocurrency and PayPal. I got links below. If you want to train with me and get yourself better prepared to withstand medical things, you can take my online class, 4 hours. It's $129, link below. Or you can train with me in person in my live training events, and that's at thepatriotnurse.com. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Be wise and be vigilant. For now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.